Charlene so has to be excused because they're doing funeral arrangements for a grandma. And so that's the purpose of it, having her excused. So we honor that request. So that we go back to the main motion. Honorable committee members and Miss Angelita Benali, how would we address 0148 first before the budget resolution? Do we need to suspend floor rules? We haven't voted on the main or the modified agenda yet.
Yeah, you're correct. We haven't gone to the main motion. And you can indicate that you would like to address this legislation 0148-22 as
Honorable Vice Chair Slater.
I wish Lorraine was in here so we could ask her how much time she needs. If that's the case, then I'll motion again to put 148 as 7A, and that will give us some time for Ledge Council to set up.
Second by Honorable Edison Wanika. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Vice Chair Slater, and Honorable Wanika. With that, the motion to again modify the agenda. Mr. Mose.
Yes, sir. To Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona. Green. Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Carl Russell Slater.
Green.
Honorable Carl Russell Slater votes green. Honorable Edison J. Wanika. Green. Honorable Edison J. Wanika votes green. Chair, I vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, committee members. 4 in favor, 0 opposed. The chair not voting. With that, the modified agenda, the main vote on that agenda. Honorable Mr. Mose, roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Green. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Carl Russell Slater.
Green.
Honorable Carl Russell Slater votes green. Honorable Edson J. Wanika. Green. Honorable Edson J. Wanika votes green. Chair, a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Mose. Let the record show a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed. The chair not voting in adopting the modified agenda. Ms. Benali, take us on down. Number 4.
Mr. Chair, you have your review and adopt the journals. There's none listed. The committee is up to date in reviewing journals. And number 5 is receiving reports, which none have been scheduled. 6 old business, none has been scheduled. And you're at 7 new business A, which is legislation number 0148.
Committee members, thank you. And then as after we enacted the agenda, could you read the legislation into the record, Ms. Benali?
Yes, Mr. Chair. You have your proposed standing committee resolution for the Appropriation Council for 2022, introduced by Carl R. Sager as primary sponsor. Tracking number is 0148-22. An act relating to the health education needs.
There's a move for this. There's not one.
Revisions request by the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration
Central Agency Veterans
to distribute all veterans trust fund carry over amounts into the NVA financial assistance program. Be it enacted, section 140.
Ms. Benali, let me mute it on here and then you unmute so that they can hear you better. Okay.
Okay. You have your be it enacted. Is it picking it up? Section 1, authority. A, pursuant to the Navajo Nation Council Resolution number CJA-3-16, the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration and Navajo Nation Veterans Advisory Council were established within the executive branch of the Navajo Nation with the purpose of providing quality services to Navajo veterans, 2 NNC sections 1031 et seq. B, the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee is a standing committee of the Navajo Nation Council, 2 NNC section 400A. Among other authorities, the committee has oversight over veterans and veteran services, 2 NNC section 401B6A and 2 NNC section 1035. C, the Navajo Nation FY 2022 Budget Instruction Manual, BIM, in parentheses, explains that a budget revision involves a change to an approved budget that deviates from the approved financial plan. And to budget reallocation is the transfer or reallocation of budget funds between business units. BIM section 11C, section 11C2, the terms budget reallocation and budget revision are used interchangeably herein and have the same meaning. D, the BIM requires that all budget revisions requests shall be reviewed by the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, and the OMB Executive Director shall approve or disapprove the requests, BIM section 11E3 and 11E4. E, the BIM further provides the Oversight Committee approval shall be required before a budget reallocation is processed. BIM section 11C2. F, according to 2 NNC section 185A, the Navajo Nation's programs and departments requests, budget revision requests must be approved by a 2/3 vote of the Oversight Committee members, 2 NNC section 185. G, the Navajo Nation Veterans Trust Fund is established under 12 NNC section 1171. The purpose of this fund is to provide funding for veterans programs, projects, and services or activities which may include or but are not limited to programs / project development, community economic development, housing, training, and employment opportunities, leveraging or matching funds for exemplary projects, protection, and advocacy services. Financial assistance or benefits and services, education and scholarship, and survivors benefits for the surviving spouses of deceased veterans. That's at 12 NNC section 1172. Section 2 findings. A, the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration and NVA in parentheses is requesting approval of 4 separate budget revisions as shown in the NNVA's budget revision request forms attached hereto, exhibits A through D as follows. $6,897.36 from business unit number 703127 into business unit number 703126 as exhibit A. And then $417,980.37 from business unit number 703127 into business unit number 703129 as exhibit B. And you have $49,030.54 from business unit number 703127 into business unit number 703128 as exhibit C. And $236,575.67 from business unit number 703125 into business unit number 703128 as exhibit D. B, the NNVA states that these 4 budget revisions are needed in order to evenly distribute all Veterans Trust Fund carryover amounts into NNVA's financial assistance program for eligible Navajo veterans based on the current population of eligible Navajo veterans in accordance with 12 NNC section 1176. C, the OMB review and approval required by the BIM in section 11E3 and 11E4 is attached hereto as exhibit E. OMB has indicated that the NNBA's 4 budget revision request forms are correct. D, in May of 2022, the NNBA's 4 budget revision requests were reviewed through the Navajo Nation Section 164 review process, and the Office of the Controller and Department of Justice and the OMB all indicated with proper signatures that these 4 requests are sufficient. The pertinent Section 164 review documents are attached here too as Exhibit F. Section 3, approval of the budget revision request. The Health, Education, and Human Services Committee of the Navajo Nation Council hereby approves the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration 4 budget revisions requests as shown in the attached exhibits A through D, specifically as follows. $6,897.36 from business unit number 703127 into business unit number 703126 as exhibit A. $417,980.37 from business unit 703127 into business unit number 703129 as exhibit B. $47,030.54 from business unit 703127 into business unit number 703128 as exhibit C. $236,575.67 from the business unit 703125 into business unit number 703128 as exhibit D. Section 4, effective date. This act shall become effective as provided in 2 NC section 221C. Section 5, savings clause. If any portion of this act is determined invalid by the Navajo Nation Supreme Court or by a district court of the Navajo Nation without appeal to the Navajo Nation Supreme Court, the remainder of this act shall be the law of the Navajo Nation. You have your exhibit A, from the OMB is the budget revision request form. And it's from the request from the Navajo Nation Veterans Administration, business units 703127 to 703126. Okay. And the amounts for this particular form as indicated is $6,897.36. And you have your signatures as required by the director. Exhibit B is also a budget revision request. The same business unit 703127 to 703129. The amounts are $417,980.37. Again, that there are 2 signatures on that are signed on the form. Exhibit B is a budget revision request from business unit 703127 to 703128 in the amount of $49,030.54, and it is signed by the division director. You have exhibit D, which indicates a budget revision request, 703125 to 703128 in the amount of $236,575.67, again with the proper signatures. And exhibit E is to the memorandum to the 164A reviewers from OMB dated May 9th, 2022. And it does indicate that the budget request form, the allocation that OMB did check the object codes, available funds, and that it is correct. You have exhibit F is the section 164 review form with the proper signatures from OMB, OOC, and OAG. And also the Department of Justice. Also, you have your middle form for June, that dated June 24th, 2022 from the Office of Legislative Counsel. And you have the document that the legislation was posted for public comment on August 1st, 2022 at 4:05 p.m. And that there were no supporting comments received. There was one opposing comment by Mr. Joe Ramon. And also the comments and recommendations are none. And that's as of August 7th, 2022. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Please note that all the budget has been set aside for Director Jim Furlan to support the thing. Maybe members do a motion. Motion one. Motion by Honorable Penelope.
Can you run down and catch Nelson for me and make a copy of that stack I gave him on payroll?
Let me. Oh. Before some.
Okay. Oh, no, turn the volume off over there and then mute. Okay. No, turn the volume off. Okay. Yes. Or.
Okay, let's go back a little bit. Committee members. Do I hear a motion to adopt the legislation? Motion. Motion by Honorable Pernell Colonna. Do I hear a second? Second by Honorable Edison Wanika. We had a glitch in the system, so that's how come we had to repeat. Any question, discussion? Miss Angelita Benali.
Mr. Chair, members of the Health and Education and Human Services Committee, when I was reading the exhibits into record, it indicated I did need to record the, for the record, the business unit on the budget revision forms. And it has a business unit number and it has, exhibit A has 7031272, 703-126. And then all of the other ones have at least two business units numbers indicated, but as I understand from what I did confer with the Office of City Council, and it indicated it should only indicate one business unit number, and it was a sub account with that business unit number that was transferring the amounts. So well, after I might need to just confirm with Boeing if those are the correct business units as stated.
They're the
Those
correct
are the
business
forms.
units. Are you talking about the object code? The object
No.
codes are listed there.
Object code.
Exhibit A, B, and C, but Office of Legislative Council is.
Oh.
You mute whoever
Miss
Raymond is.
Lauralee Tapahi, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, thank you. It is Tapahi. I was looking at those exhibits and it is a little peculiar to me, although I really think we should check with OMB. Normally, when a 4-digit sub account is listed and there's a transfer from the exact same sub account into the same sub account, which it appears to be in those exhibits. Normally, there's only one 6-digit business unit number identified at the top of the page.
Yeah.
But it's a little peculiar to me because at the top of the page on the budget form, it shows transfer from one business unit number to another business unit number. So it doesn't make sense to me that in the body of the form, they're mentioning transferring from one's 4-digit sub-account to the exact same 4-digit sub-account. So again, this might make perfect sense to OMB, but it doesn't make sense to me. And so I would recommend that we could do two things.
Wait. Just before you go down that, you're transferring from one business unit to another business unit, and it's within the same object code.
Yes.
So what is peculiar about that? Because that's just a business unit. I mean, that's just a budget transfer. This is exactly how it's supposed to go.
The way I've seen it, Honorable Delegate Slater, is I've seen it where the business unit number is listed in the body of the form. But if it makes sense to you and to the committee, then it's perfectly fine.
But where would it be in the body of the form? Because this is where you identify the business units. You mean like right here in this area?
Yes, in the table, in the center of the form.
Okay, because I mean, it doesn't say to list the business units there. It says from object code and description of code to object code and description of code. And then OMB approved, I mean, they provided their memo saying that everything was correct on May 9th, 2022.
And that particular letter is that exhibit D.
If OMB did review the budget form, then I presume that it's correct. I'm not too familiar with the forms. It's not what I've seen before, but again, I'm not familiar with the forms. So if it's up to the committee.
But I mean, you drafted the legislation and you included the exhibit with OMB saying that everything is correct. As the 4 attached budget revision request forms are used for the reallocation of funds, OMB has checked the object codes, availability of funds, and everything is correct. If approved, OMB requires a copy of this resolution with all exhibits.
Yes, Delegate Slater, yes, you're correct. Looking at the legislation now and looking at the exhibits now, I would prefer a little bit more clarity, but you are correct that it appears that the OMB memorandum, there is one from Mr. Dominic Vial dated May 9th. And it does say OMB has checked the object codes, availability funds, and everything is correct. So it does appear that everything is in order.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey. Committee members, any questions? So Honorable Slater, you're comfortable with the legislation to go forward?
Yes, I'm familiar with budget forms and this looks correct to me, and OMB has confirmed that it's correct as well.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. I just, this is moving the carryover amounts. And what I'm trying to figure out is why there's over $400,000 in the carryover amount.
Honorable Carl Sweet.
These have built up because Eastern Agency exhausts using all of their funds for veterans assistance. So they help out all the veterans in their agency with the funding that they receive for assistance. And then they carry it over for assistance each year, but because of the policy, you can only receive a certain amount each year. It's not like people can start receiving extra funding, and it builds up. So the funding then is not being used for any assistance or any help or to help any veterans. So this is a feature of the distribution scheme that exists on Navajo right now. So for example, in Chinle Agency, veterans in my district and across the agency do not receive assistance because there is not enough funding that goes to the agency for veterans assistance. It is essentially trapped in Eastern Agency, getting carried over year after year. there's only a certain number of veterans within the Eastern Agency. And so they use up all of the assistance funding that's provided to them. And then there's a ton left over. And that's how you've had this massive buildup. So when you add up all that funding from 703-127, the Eastern Agency business account, that's where you get this massive buildup. And so in order to redistribute it so that it can be used by veterans in Northern, Fort Defiance, and Central agencies, I'm sponsoring this budget revision request. And it will allow veterans who otherwise would not be assisted because they don't receive enough funding within the agency allocation to actually receive assistance. And I'll use my agency as an example. You know, we have Chinle, and veterans who live in Chinle, once they open up the application period, are better positioned to access funding because they live closer. They can go get the forms and get everything and then submit it back to the office. Whereas if you live farther out, like in Hard Rock and Wakashukai, farther out, you have to travel all the way into Chinle. By the time you get there, all the funding might be exhausted through the application process. And with this will allow those folks who are not able to access the funding to get some veterans assistance. So that's the purpose of this. And it's the same thing I would assume in Northern Agency where folks have to travel into the office. But yeah, that's why there's a big buildup. And the purpose of this is to assist more veterans who otherwise would not be getting assistance.
Honorable Helona, do you have follow-up?
Yeah, I do, but the numbers are really different. That's what I'm really trying to figure out why some of them are less than 400,000, 200,000.
Oh, I can answer that.
Honorable Carl Slater, do you have the floor?
So those are then based off of the veterans counts within the agencies. And so for the 703-129, that's based off of the number of veterans within Central Agency. For 703-126, that's based off the number of veterans in Fort Defiance Agency. And then for the two allocations into Northern Agency, the 49,000 and the 236,000, that is in 703-128, and it's based off the number of veterans. So you add up the 49,000 plus the 236,000, that's how much Northern will get. The 417,000 is how much Central will get. The 6,897 is how much Fort Defiance will get. I think it's also relative to their allocation. So I think it's sort of like the unmet need of what exists there based off the veterans count.
Honorable Cornell Helona.
One more question. So when this gets done next year and the year after, will this take care of that too, or does it have to be done again?
Well,
Okay.
in the fiscal year 22 budget, isn't that where we mandated that it go by 50-50 formula?
Yes.
And so so an example, the reason that this is happening is that there are chapters where their 50-50 allocation far outweighs the number of veterans that are within the chapter. So therefore you have a surplus where that funding can't be, they help out all the veterans within the chapter, but then they can't provide further assistance. And then that's funding that could be used for veterans who say, if you're in Chinle and you have a high number of veterans, but the allocation only covers some of them, but doesn't cover all of them.
Yeah.
And then you replicate that across many more chapters. That's what's happening. If you did it more in line with, say, a veterans count or the request for needy or for financial assistance, you probably wouldn't confront this problem. But because has been the 50-50 distribution, which is not based on the veterans count, you end up with situations like this.
Look, if I may, Honorable Helona, from 2017 to 2021, as we found out, the distribution was on 50-50 formula. Then we find out that on the Veterans Trust Fund, the distribution should have been on veterans count. And this is the year that it's being switched. Carry over, some of them, as you recall, I think it was either St. Michael's or Pine Springs that had like over 50,000. I know one of my chapters had 97,000. High voter numbers, but little usage of that allocation. So it just built up over the year. That's only because the controller was distributing it by the proceeds of that trust fund, distributing it by 50-50 formula, when the law actually said veterans count. And so this is where you're trying to fix the miscalculation or misappropriation. And that's where Honorable Slater's, with the help of Veterans Director, fixed this particular.
So after we get this all done,
Going
Veterans
forward,
are still-
then OOC now knows that the distribution has to be on veterans.
I understand now. Thank you.
Thank you.
At the last central, Chair, can I say one last thing?
Honorable Vice Chair Slater.
Thank you. So at the last Central Agency Veterans Organization meeting, they strongly endorsed this and requested it. And I'm doing it on behalf of them, but also on behalf of all veterans so that more can receive the financial assistance, because essentially these dollars are trapped and preventing them from putting them into use where applications are being submitted, but there isn't the funding to help all the veterans within that agency's allocation.
Yes.
And so this will go into the fiscal year 23 budget.
And understand that that's separate and apart from the housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so how does this affect then with the veterans? They say they're supposed to get $1,200 a year. Every veteran, right? But according to the budget, the way the budget's set up, not every veteran will get that amount because there's not enough money in the budget to cover $1,200 for every veteran.
And again, that 1,200 was probably based on the 50-50 allocation.
Okay, so then it would be correct.
Yeah.
Well, the 1,200, I mean, that's what you can receive, but it's subject to funds availability.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because there's
Part-
never ever going to be enough money for several years in order for that 1,200 for every veteran to get.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with the $3.1 million shot in the arm this year, it would grow and be able to assist more, but yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
Committee members, any follow-up questions? Legislative staff? Ms. Angelica Benoit?
Sure, just for the record, this is a budget revision transfer regarding the Veterans Administration funds. But it is a carryover that'll be going into FY 23 budget. Is that right?
One more time.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Honorable Vice Chair.
So the budget transfer will take place, and then those funds will be carried over within the new business unit numbers. because the Veterans Trust Fund allocations don't lapse and are not reverted back to the trust fund each year. They continue to exist within those business units. So, yeah, so then they will then be carried over into FY23. And each agency has made a decision on how they're going to allocate their funding. So they are provided those options, whether they want to do a one pot, whether they want to have individual business unit numbers, whether they want to maintain one business unit number and then have like company codes or, essentially like a sub account, even though that's not really a term we use within the BIM. But, and then let's see, those two, and then there was a third one that I think I'm forgetting. Oh, and then I think whether they wanted to do their distributions, if they were going to have an allocation for each chapter veterans organization, whether they were going to do that distribution based off of the 50-50 formula or based off of the veterans count. But in order to make the allocation for the agency, you have to calculate essentially a dollar amount per veteran and then use that to inform how you'll do your distribution. But OMB and DOJ have been pretty clear that there is no statutory justification for the 50-50 distribution. And we're seeing one of the adverse impacts of it right now, and that there's big buildups that don't end up assisting veterans that could use it year after year in other agencies.
Okay, further question, discussion, Ms. Kapahi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question. I just want to make sure that the intent of the committee is being accomplished with the approval of this particular legislation. So perhaps Honorable Delegate Slater could answer a question for me, and I will explain my my concern here. So from the discussion, it sounds like the budget transfer will occur when this legislation is approved. And of course, that will be prior to two things. Well ahead of the final approval by the Council of the Comprehensive Budget Legislation for 23, I'm sorry, FY 2023. And two, ahead of the end of the fiscal year. So which I guess are the same thing, but so once we have the budget transfer completed and the money is put into the new business unit numbers per this legislation, the way I read the legislation in the approval section, section 3, it says that the HES committee approves the budget revision request. And then I am wondering if the receiving business unit numbers, if the funds in those business unit numbers will automatically revert. I'm not too familiar with the Veterans Trust Fund, but if there is an automatic carryover, or if it's actually a reversion of funds that will occur at the end of the fiscal year for those receiving business unit numbers, then we need to know so that we can put language in the Veterans Administration's budget legislation, which is also on the agenda for today's committee, to indicate that there should be, this committee desires a carryover into 2023. So I just want to make sure that the resulting business unit numbers, the money will carry over, and if it won't, then probably need language for the carryover in the budget legislation. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Veterans Trust Fund carryovers take place year after year, I think without language being included, because in the statute it says that they don't expire and revert back. And so the carryovers are calculated at the end of each year. And then just like other carryover budgets, the respective business units and whoever administers them, and so, you know, this is for each agency, then they will budget accordingly with the Veterans Administration on the carryover budget after the closeouts have been completed. So, for example, just like if we authorized a carryover for social services, then once OMB has completed the calculations of what that carryover is into fiscal year 23, they would provide the amount to the division, and then the division would budget for that allocation. So the specific budget is not included within the fiscal year 23 budget. For this, the Veterans Trust Fund monies do not require an additional authorization from the committee or from the council saying that the funds are going to carry over, because in 2016 there was a Department of Justice opinion that said that the funds do not expire, they carry over each year. And so that's why that's what has taken place since then, and I think before then. So with respect to the budget that we'll approve today for the Veterans Administration, I do not believe we need an amendment. And if you want to confer later with anyone, we can do that with DOJ or with OMB when you package it into the comprehensive budget. But because of that opinion, there hasn't been a necessity for the committee or the council to authorize the carryover, because it was already authorized when the trust fund was created.
Thank you, thank you, Honorable Delegate Slater. That clarifies a lot for me. I will shoot an email just to clarify things,
Yeah.
but I take your word for it at this point. Thank you.
And I think once we get to the comprehensive budget, if something needs to be changed, then we can do it there. But for the budget that we'll consider today, because this legislation will still need to be passed, encumbered and everything, and it can't impact the next one until all that stuff is completed, we shouldn't worry about it because it can be taken care of later. Assuming there is an issue. I don't think there is an issue right now. So.
Committee members, any other questions? Staff, any other questions? If not, Mr. Mose, roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir.
We do need 4 votes, or that's a 2/3 vote.
Thank you. To meet the 2/3 requirement for the budget transfer. Yes, okay. Thank you, Ms. Anali. Mr. Mose.
Yes, sir. Honorable Bob Gay Jr. Green. Honorable Bob Gay Jr. votes green. Honorable Pernell Alona.
Green.
Honorable Pernell Alona votes green. Honorable Carl Russell Slater.
Green.
Honorable Carl Russell Slater votes green. Honorable Edison Dewanika.
Green.
Honorable Edison Dewanika votes green. Chair, a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Mose. Show of vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 excused, and the chair not voting. Thank you, committee members. Thank you, Honorable Slater. So we go on to new business, number 7, and the new B. Since I am the sponsoring delegate, then at this time, let me have Honorable Vice Chair Slater preside over these ensuing legislations.
Hear ye, hear ye. Okay, so we have legislation 123-22, an action relating to the Health Education Human Services Committee. approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget for the Nava Nation Division of Human Resources. Ms. Benali, we have to read the whole thing into the record, right?
I previously read it into record electronic.
Oh, you already read it into the record. Okay. So committee members, the legislation has been read into the record electronically. And you have the legislation before you. The chair will entertain a motion in a second. Is there a second? The chair recognizes a motion from Delegate Halona and a second from Delegate Begay. Chair, would you like to provide some commentary, or do you want to go straight to Ms. Tapahi to discuss the different items that we have generated over the past few weeks through our oversight committee hearings?
Thank you, committee members. Basically, we had Dr. Ophelia Fowler provide the budget statement and then answer questions during our budget hearings. And then from there, the committee requested that there be some additional items to be addressed within the legislation. Committee members. So I'd like to defer to, if I may, Honorable Vice Chair Slater, defer to Ms. Laureline Tapahi.
Okay, Ms. Tapahi, you're recognized to provide your presentation on the legislative concerns, conditions on appropriation, and other items.
Thank you, Honorable Delegate Slater, and formal good morning to you. Very pleased to be here. I don't travel hardly at all, but I did today, and I couldn't believe how green and beautiful everything is from all the rain. It's just amazing. I was taking pictures all over the place. It was really nice. Yeah, that's why I'm late. I'm sorry. But anyhow, I just passed out what it's actually a hard copy, and I did provide an electronic copy to Ms. Benali of the amendment that OLC has prepared for this particular legislation 0123 for the Department of it's actually Division of Human Resources budget. And as you know, this was discussed, debated, considered a bit informally last week, Thursday or Friday, one of those days, by this committee. And now today's going to be the formal vote on the amendments and on the legislation itself. And so I, along with Loya and Mariana of OLC, put our heads together and put our notes together and had a meeting pretty much most of yesterday, where we gathered all of the amendments that we know of based on our notes, based on our recollection, based on emails from various programs, division directors and such. And so I'm about 95% sure that we got everything. It is a bit difficult when we have sort of, it seems almost like a scattershot approach a little bit, where folks want, this amendment, that amendment, or whatever. But I think that we've got almost everything. And of course, if we've missed something that you recall, or that you know for sure that we left out, please of course let me know, and I'll make sure that it gets in there. So the amendment here is to Exhibit A, Exhibit D, Exhibit E, and Exhibit F. There is no Exhibit F posted with legislation. However, a new Exhibit F is being added because the committee informally approved, accepted the carryovers requested by the Division of Human Resources. And so there is a new Exhibit F, and the Exhibit A is also being replaced because we were advised that the Exhibit A that was posted on the Navajo Nation DIB website when this legislation was posted, that there was an error in the third column for the general fund budget. So we were provided with a revised Exhibit A by DHR. And so the amendment here is to switch out, pull the DIB posted Exhibit A from the legislation and replace it with the new Exhibit A, which these all have little tabs in yellow, and they correspond to the yellow highlighted items that are on the first page for the amendment. So as you see Exhibit A is highlighted, you flip and you'll see the yellow highlighted Exhibit A. And so that's the one that we're inserting. And then for D, we wrote down 4 legislative concerns that the committee wanted put into Exhibit D, so that needs to be switched out as well. The Exhibit D in the DIB posted version is empty, it's blank. The Exhibit E is also being switched out. The Exhibit E on the DIB posting is also blank. There is one unmet need entry that DHR is requesting, and so that's in the Exhibit E that will be inserted. And again, as I mentioned, there's a new Exhibit F for carryovers. So if you would like, at this time, I can read this into the record, or if Ms. Benali wants to do that, I'm perfectly willing to do that. Or if you have questions, I can answer questions at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I've got my laptop back.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Committee members, are we fine with this, Tapahi, reading the amendment into the record? Okay, perfect. Then I will leave this here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as you see before you in paper form, this is, I'm going to call this Amendment 1 to legislation number 0123-22 for Division of Human Resources. Item 1, on page 1 at line 13 and on page 2 at line 6, delete the word department and insert the word division. On item 2, on page 1 at line 21 and on page 2 at line 9, again, delete the word department and insert the word division. 3, remove the DIB posted Exhibit A and insert the new revised Exhibit A provided by the Division of Human Resources that shows the amount of $2,669,100 in the bottom line for the FY 2022 general fund budget column. 4, remove the DIB posted Exhibit D and insert the new revised Exhibit D provided by the Division of Human Resources that shows legislative concerns 1, 2, 3, and 4. Item 5, remove the DIB posted Exhibit E and insert the new revised Exhibit E provided by the Division of Human Resources that shows the amount of $262,664 in the bottom line for the amount of unmet need column. Item 6, on page 2 at line 19, insert a new paragraph F as follows. This is all underlined. F, the HEHSC recommends that certain carryovers for the DHR be included in the Navajo Nation's FY 2023 comprehensive budget as shown in Exhibit F. Item 7, on page 2 at line 21, delete E and insert F. 8, insert the new Exhibit F provided by the Division of Human Resources that shows the amount of $253,389.63 in the bottom line for the amount of carryover. 9, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel are authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and its exhibits to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be conformed to this amendment. You then have the Exhibit A, the new Exhibit A, Exhibit D, Exhibit E, and F that are attached to this amendment. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Committee members,
Is that okay?
thank you. Is there a motion to amend? A motion from Delegate Wanika,
He missed out on a lot.
Yeah. Delegate Halona seconds the amendment. Let me jot this down. First amendment. Okay, committee members, are there questions on the amendment? Okay, the chair does not see any questions. Let's say HESI works. Or, yeah, those weren't even work sessions. That was a regular meeting. It was both, I guess. Okay, committee members, let's move to a vote. I'll just go down the line. Delegate So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Chair So votes green. Delegate Begay?
Green.
Delegate Begay votes green. Delegate Halona?
One was green.
Delegate Halona votes green. And Delegate Wanika?
Green.
Delegate Wanika votes green. So that is 4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, 1 excused. Committee members, do you have any other amendments to the legislation? Hearing none, we'll move on to adopt the legislation. I'll go down the line. Of course, we have a motion from Delegate Halona and a second from Delegate Begay on the main motion. Chair So,
Green.
Delegate Begay,
Green.
Delegate Halona,
Green.
Delegate Wanika. We have a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, with delegates So, Begay, Halona, and Wanika voting green. Okay, the legislation passes. We'll move on to item 7C, legislation 124-22. An action relating to the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee, approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2023. The person who is just coughing, can you please mute yourself? I don't want to identify your name. Okay. I'm going to ask, there are a few people that we have on the line who are unmuted. Yeah. We just keep getting different interruptions. Okay. I'll restate this. We're on legislation 0124-22, an action relating to the Health, Education, Human Services Committee, approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget for the Navajo Nation Division of Social Services. Ms. Benali, have you read this one electronically into the record? Okay, this legislation's been read into the record electronically. Is there a motion and a second to consider the legislation? Motion from Delegate Begay. Second from Delegate Halona. Chair, would you like to make a statement?
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Slater and committee members and staff and the folks on the call. During our budget session, we pretty much covered the proposed legislation extensively, going through the budget documents, and we had asked the legislative counsel, Ms. Tapahi, to draft up some proposed amendments to the legislation. With that, presiding chair, I give you back the floor. I think we had the social services write opening statements and summary statements and ask extensive questions of the committee or by the committee and responses. And through those responses, we ask Ms. Tapahi to draft some legislative concerns and conditions of appropriations. Mr. Chair, presiding chair.
Thank you, committee members. A handout has been distributed titled Amendment to Legislation Number 0124-22 for Division of Social Services. And Ms. Tapahi, would you like to read this into the record, or you want me just to go for it? Is there, do you have another?
Yes, Honorable Delegate Slater, I don't mind reading it into the record.
Okay, let me mute over here and turn my volume off.
Are you all able to hear me okay? If anyone, okay. Okay. So for this one, I will go ahead and read the amendment first. And then when I'm finished with the amendment, I will then go through the exhibits and explain briefly as I can. Okay, I'm going to call this amendment number 1 to legislation number 0124-22. You should have this before you in a paper format. There are 7 items. Item 1 on page 1 at line 13 and on page 2 at line 6. Delete the word department and insert division. Item 2 on page 1 at line 21 and on page 2 at line 9. Delete department and insert division. Item 3, remove the DIB posted Exhibit B and insert the new revised Exhibit B provided by the Division of General Services. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be Social Services. I apologize. Division of Social Services. I will correct that. To back up, item 3, remove the DIB posted Exhibit B and insert the new revised Exhibit B provided by the Division of Social Services that shows the amount of $4,168,250 in the bottom line in column D and $2,872,587 in the bottom line for column E. Item 4, remove the DIB posted Exhibit C and insert the new revised Exhibit C provided by the Division of Social Services that shows the explanation for the new recommended amount of $4,168,250. Item 5, remove the DIB posted Exhibit D and insert the new revised Exhibit D that shows 1 condition of appropriation and legislative concerns 1, 2, and 3. Item 6, remove the DIB posted Exhibit E and insert the new revised Exhibit E provided by the Division of Social Services that shows the amount of $4,668,250 in the bottom line. Item 7, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel are authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and its exhibits to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be conformed to this amendment. And attached, you do have Exhibit B, which shows $4,168,250 as the Oversight Committee's recommended general fund budget. And the plus or minus column E at the very bottom shows $2,872,587. You have attached Exhibit C, which is the explanation for what was put in Exhibit B. The second line item there states additional funds are requested to assist 16,673 students with $250 per student equals $4,168,250. This assistance will be available to Navajo students attending school on and off the Navajo Nation. Attached, you have Exhibit D, and it shows this is the conditions of appropriations and legislative concerns. It shows one condition of appropriation for the Division of Social Services, as you can read there in the box. And it also shows legislative concerns 1, 2, and 3
I was on
all
leave.
for the
this morning.
Division of Social
I
Services.
advised Dr. Moffat I was going to be on leave.
You also have attached an Exhibit E,
Okay.
which will be inserted into the legislation, pulling out the
Over there
blanket
now.
Exhibit E. This one shows at the very bottom of the unmet need column, $4,668,250, which is the total amount for 2 unmet need items that are described in the Exhibit E. So that's the end of the amendment and the explanation of the exhibits. I did want to make one point. The school clothing program, the $4,168,250. It does state there that, note, if sufficient, if the $4,168,250 is not available from the general fund, then this item will be treated as an unmet need. The reason for that explanation there is because in Exhibit C, in Exhibit B and C, the $4,168,250 is listed there. However, there was some question as to whether it was going to be in B and C or as an unmet need. So I put it in both with the condition qualifying language that if it's not available under the general fund, then it will be treated as an unmet need. That was the way I handled that. So I hope that that explanation is clear. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We have the amendment read into the record. Amendment number 1. Is there a motion? Motion from Delegate Halona. Second from Delegate Begay. Guys, switch it up this time from the main motion. Thank you very much. Committee members, are there any questions regarding the amendment?
Vice Chair.
Let me bring the mic over to you.
Thank you. Just if there are any typos, will that be corrected or is this okay? Because it looks like we're also taking care of a daycare center from Chile. In Exhibit E,
Oh, Chile, not Chile.
South America. Thank you.
Yes, Delegate
Please
Begay.
excuse our humor committee does sidebars, but we're okay.
Yes. For everyone's information, on the last page, Exhibit E, 117010, where it should read Chinle Daycare Center, it says Chile Daycare Center. So that will need to be corrected. But in general, when they do the encumbrance of the legislation, they go through and review all those things. Anything else in your presentation, Chair?
Again, thank you, committee members. We had extensive discussion with the staff from the Division of Social Services. And we went through a question and answer period, and we do appreciate Ms. Laureline Hoffman's assistance in this budget process. She is becoming the budget guru for Office of Legislative Counsel. Thank you.
I can't balance my checkbook.
Thank you, Vice Chair Slater.
Thank you. Committee members, hearing no further discussion, we'll move to a vote on amendment number 1. So, Chair So, how do you vote?
Green?
Delegate Begay, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegate Halona, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegate Wanika?
Green.
Thank you. Delegates Wanika, Halona, Begay, and Chair So voting green. 0 opposed and 1 excused chair not voting. On the main motion, is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Chair So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Delegate Begay, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegate Halona, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegate Wanika, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegates Wanika, Halona, Begay, and Chair So all voting green. 0 opposed, chair not voting, and 1 excused. Legislation passes. We'll move on to item 7D. That is 12522. An action relating to the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee, approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget for the Navajo Veterans Administration.
There were no amendments for this one. That
Okay.
we could recall, that we don't know.
Well, let me continue. Thank you, Mr. Pahi. Okay. Ms. Benali, this legislation has been read into the record, correct?
That's right.
Okay. It's been electronically read into the record. The chair will entertain a motion. A motion from Delegate Wanika. A second from Delegate Begay. Committee members, there are no amendments to this legislation. Would you like to hear a presentation again, or are we ready to go to the vote? Okay, the committee has indicated they'd like to go to the vote. Chair So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Delegate Begay, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegate Halona?
Green.
Delegate Wanika?
Green.
4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, and 1 excused. We'll move on to item 7E. Legislation number 0133-22, an action relating to the Health and Human Services.
Whoop, whoop.
And it looks like these should have a, the title is incorrectly stated on the agenda, but on the actual legislation, it is correctly, oh no.
We did the veterans 1 through 5. So
We're on
we-
133,
Yes.
but it says Health and Human Services Committee.
Oh,
But then in the authority, it says Health, Education, and Human Service. I'm gonna read the title as it was, as it is recorded right now. An action relating to the Health and Human Services Committee approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the fiscal year 2023 budget for the Division of General Services and related matters to be included in the Navajo Nation's fiscal year 2023 comprehensive budget. Ms. Benali, this one's been read into the record
Yes.
electronically? Okay. Then we will, the chair will entertain a motion. A motion from Delegate Begay. A second from Delegate Halona. And committee members will now go to Chair So because there is a amendment that has been prepared for the legislation.
Thank you, presiding chair, honorable vice chair Slater, committee members. Again, we had considerable discussion during the budget hearing, as well as we also addressed it during the revisit. So based on the revisits, then we have expressed that legislative council prepare legislative concerns and conditions of appropriations. And we had also talked about the carryover funds. So with that, committee members, back to you, Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Tapai, would you like to read your amendment into the record?
Make sure you're,
Thank you, Honorable Delegate Slater and committee members. I'll again read the amendment first, and then I will explain the new exhibits that are attached to it that will be inserted into the legislation after the posted exhibits are removed. Amendment number 1 to legislation number 0133-22 for Division of General Services. Item 1, remove the DIB posted exhibit D and insert the new revised exhibit D that shows one condition of appropriation and legislative concerns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Item 2, remove the DIB posted exhibit E and insert the new revised exhibit E provided by the Division of General Services that shows the amount of $425,465 in the bottom line for the amount of unmet need column. Item 3, on page 2 at line 19, insert a new paragraph F as follows. This is all underlined. F, the HEHSC recommends that certain carryovers for the DGS be included in the Navajo Nation's FY 2023 comprehensive budget as shown in Exhibit F. Item 4, on page 2 at line 21, delete E and insert F. Item 5, insert the new Exhibit F provided by the Division of General Services that shows the amount of $4,349,612.81 in the bottom line for the total amount of carryovers. Item 6, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel are authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and its exhibits to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be conformed to this amendment. We have a new Exhibit D that is titled Recommended Conditions of Appropriations and Legislative Concerns. It lists one condition of appropriation and 6 legislative concerns. I'll just read the condition of appropriation. Facilities maintenance shall provide a report by the end of second quarter FY 2023 to HEHSC and NABI on the budget amount for repairs and rehabilitation needs for Navajo Nation government facilities across the Navajo Nation. And then there are 6 legislative concerns as shown there on Exhibit D. There's a new Exhibit E attached. This is the unmet needs. There are 3 line items for unmet needs for telecommunications and utilities, air transportation, and records management. And the total amount for those 3 unmet needs totals to $425,465 at the bottom. There is a new Exhibit E to be inserted, which shows 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 line items for various programs and departments under the Division of General Services. And the total amount of unmet needs shown at the bottom is $4,349,612.81. And there you have that amendment that was prepared, and I am open for questions at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members.
Thank you. Okay, can you please turn the volume off and mute that one? Okay, perfect. Let me turn the volume up on this. Wait, I don't think that one's muted.
Maybe.
It says X.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Now, committee members, the amendment has been read into the record. The chair will entertain a motion for the amendment number 1. You have a motion from Delegate Halona. Is there a second? We have a second from Delegate Wanika. Committee members, you've been provided the information, the exhibits. Any questions? The chair would like to make a comment. Chair
Thank
So?
you. Thank you, Presiding Chair, Honorable Vice Chair Stater, and honorable members of the committee. As Exhibit B on risk management. Could we change that to by the end of the first quarter of 2023? That would be at December 31. November 3rd. Committee member.
Yeah, the end of the first quarter is December 31st.
December 31st, okay. Otherwise, 3 of the committee members won't see the report if it's at second quarter.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, is that legislative concern number 1?
Regarding the, yes, risk management. 1 regarding risk management.
This is a legislative concern, committee members, that is requesting risk management and the insurance program to explain how they implement the Buy Navajo provisions and their procuring of insurance products for the nation. So, Ms. Tapahi, in order to do that, can we don't need to generate a whole new exhibit, right? Okay. So, okay. But we should vote on it right now because we already voted on it for second quarter. The chair will entertain a motion to amend the legislative concern number 1 on Exhibit D for the first quarter of fiscal year 2023 rather than by the end of the second quarter of fiscal year 2023. A motion from Delegate Wanika. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Chair Say. Committee members, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Chair So,
Green.
Delegate Begay,
Green.
Delegate Halona,
Green.
Delegate Wanika.
Green.
The motion passes 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 excused, 1 not voting, or chair not voting. Committee members, Any further discussion on the legislation? I've waved my pen 3 times, so we'll move on to the vote. Chair So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Delegate Begay,
Green.
Delegate Lona,
Green.
Delegate Wanika. Legislation 13322 passes 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting and Delegate Charlene So excused. We'll now move on to item F. A moment here to move my papers. This is legislation 0136-22 relating to the Health and Human Services Committee, approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the fiscal year 2023 budget for the Department of Genet Education and related matters to be included in the Nava Nation's fiscal year 2023 comprehensive budget. Ms. Benali, this has been electronically read into the record.
Yes, it has.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to consider the legislation. A motion from Delegate Wanika. A second from Delegate Halona. Committee members, there's an amendment prepared for this legislation and the chair will recognize, the vice chair will recognize the chair at this time.
Okay, committee members. Again, during our budget hearings, we had presentation provided by Dr. Harold Begay, and then we had extensive question and answer with Dr. Carmen Moffett, as well as Ms. Rose Graham and the staff from Department of Tele Youth. And from there, we then revisited the legislation and the budget and had further question and answer. So we did recommend legislative concerns, as well as address the carryovers and unmet needs. And so in the priorities for the unmet needs, we really supported the increase for scholarship, as well as carryover for Office of the Net Youth, or ODY. So committee members, that is the presentation. And if you have further questions, we have Dr. Begay, as well as Dr. Moffett, as well as Ms. Rose Graham and Ms. Thomas on the call. Chair, that would be the presentation.
Committee members, excuse me, committee members, you have the amendment before you. You have the legislation before you. Ms. Tapahi, can you read the amendment to the record? Oh,
Yes.
wait, sorry. I apologize. I thought we read the amendment in the record and then we.
No, I'm talking about the main legislation.
No, we Delegate Wanika and Delegate
Oh,
Halona are
okay, I'm sorry.
the motioning parties. Okay, Ms. Tapahi, let me mute over here.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair Slater and committee members. I will read the amendment and then I will go through the exhibits. This is amendment number 1 to legislation number 0136-22 for Department of Dene Education. I refer to it as DOTI. Most folks with the Navajo Nation government say DOTI. So if I say that, you'll know what I mean. Item number 1, on page 1 at line 14 and on page 2 at line 6, delete DINE, D-I-N-E capital, and insert DINE, D-I-N-E with a mark over the E. Item 2, on page 1 at line 21 and on page 2 at line 9, delete the word DINE and insert DINE with the mark over the E. Item 3, remove the DIB posted Exhibit D and insert the new revised Exhibit D that shows legislative concerns 1 and 2 and 1 condition of appropriation. Item 4, remove the DIB posted Exhibit E and insert the new revised Exhibit E provided by Department of Dene Education that shows 1 through 7 line items for DOTI's unmet needs. Item 5, on page 12 at line 9, insert a new paragraph F as follows. This is all underlined. F, the HEHSC recommends that certain carryovers for the DOTI be included in the Navajo Nation's FY 2023 comprehensive budget as shown in Exhibit F. Item 6, on page 2 at line 21, delete E and insert F. Item 7, insert the new Exhibit F provided by the Department of Dene Education that shows the overall total FY 2023 carryover request of $928,911.91 in the bottom line on page 7 of 7. Item 8, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel are authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and its exhibits to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be conformed to this amendment. You have attached a new Exhibit D, which shows 2 legislative concerns, the first one for all DOTI programs and offices, and the second one for the Office of Dene Youth. And you have 1 condition of appropriation listed for the DOTI administration, and I'll just read that one. The Department of Dene Education Administration shall present a plan to reopen Navajo Head Start centers in Rock Point and Round Rock. The report shall be presented verbally and in writing to the HEHSC by the end of first quarter FY 2023. Then Exhibit E is attached, a new Exhibit E for unmet needs. There are 7 line items for the unmet needs. There are various dollar amounts. However, there is no total at the bottom, and I think OLS and OLC could probably ask OMB to assist with that so that we know the total amount, and we could insert that. Then there is attached a new Exhibit F, and this one is pretty extensive. There are 7 pages for Exhibit F, and the different offices and such under the DOTI are listed as follows. These are unmet needs for DOTI programs. First is the Office of Dene School Improvement. The total amount for their unmet needs is $103,000. The Office of Dene Standards Curriculum Assessment Development. The total for that one, unmet needs, is $63,000, and you'll see that on page 2. The Navajo Nation Library is next, and the total amount for that, the library, is $39,000. You'll see that on page 3. Continuing with Office of Educational Research and Statistics, the total dollar amount for unmet needs for that program, as you'll see on page 4, is $1,000. Continuing with the Office of Dene Youth Administration, showing a total of $82,800.42 for unmet needs. That's on page 4. Continuing with Office of Dene Youth for Chinle Agency. It's shown on page 5. Go down just a bit, and it shows a total amount for Chinle Agency of $139,227.99 for unmet needs. Going down to Office of Dene Youth, Crown Point Agency, that total for unmet needs is $44,797.73. On page 6, continuing with Office of Dene Youth, Fort Defiance Agency, the total unmet needs for that one is $23,975.49. Office of Dene Youth Shiprock Agency, going on to page 7, the total dollar amount of unmet needs for Shiprock Agency is $223,798.21, shown at the very top of page 7. And going on with Office of Dene Youth Tuba City Agency, the total amount for unmet needs for that is $66,349.17. Finally, the Office of Dene Youth for, it says HS Prep and Enrichment. I assume that's high school prep enrichment. The total amount of unmet needs for that program is $91,962.90. Yes, I believe it's high school. The final calculation for all unmet needs for Doty in this particular exhibit, 7 pages, the total amount shows $928,911.91. And those are all the exhibits. And as I've read that amendment into the record, I am open for questions. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah,
Vice Chair Slater,
just, yeah, mute that one first. And then also turn the line on.
Vice Chair Slater,
Yes, wait a second. Okay, we're good now. Ms. Mitchell?
Yat Vice Chair Slater, Julia Mitchell, Ado, National National Toy Hitlini Bush Chain Kabah Dash Auto Bit Acne Dash Nale. I represent Nos Chitty and Basla chapters. In the reading recently, she was noting as unmet needs for all the accounts totaling 928,911.91. Those are actually carryover requests. And the exhibit F for unmet needs was actually sent to Ms. Khan a few days ago. And that total is 28,707,788, just for the record. Yeah.
Okay, now I see.
Okay, let me establish a motion in a second for the amendment. We have a motion from Delegate Halona. Is there a second, committee members? Second from Delegate Wanuka.
Oh.
So if we go to, okay, yeah, but I want to make sure I understand it first. So we have an unmet needs statement on Exhibit E, and that looks correct.
No, it's totally wrong.
That's wrong. Okay. Chair.
On our revisit, the committee up the unmet need request for scholarships to 20 million.
Mhm.
And basically took the 10 million from Doty administration.
And then made it priority 1, right?
Yes, and then the other was the HVAC and heating system. That was to be sent to general services or I don't have my notes with me. Proper study, evaluation, and estimate.
Wasn't that included in the?
For the general services one, committee members. Zero one We didn't include it.
The wrong thing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back. I didn't catch it. Okay, and basically the total of the unmet needs requests, we had reduced it. And that was the reason we asked that they prioritize. And from that prioritization, we only did sent this legislative concern HVAC and heating system to general services. The scholarship, we upped it to 20 million. And basically said that the DSAP, the state education agency, then we could they could use their carryover funds, but we did carry forward the 707,000 for Department of Denelu.
Sure. Are we maintaining the carryover budget as it is included in the amendment, or does that require an amendment right now?
The carryovers we didn't touch. We just accepted it.
All right, that's what I understood.
Yes. we
So
just-
with respect to the HVAC issue, I think what we could do is under general services, number one, condition on appropriation, facilities maintenance. Facilities maintenance shall provide a report by the end of the second quarter of FY 2023 to HESI and NABI and the budget amount for repairs and rehabilitation needs for Navajo Nation government facilities across the Navajo Nation. So maybe we could include a legislative concern saying that DOTI shall cooperate in the implementation of COA under DGS to make sure that the HVAC is included in that report, because we can't unpass the resolution that we already passed.
Yeah.
So I think we already passed something saying that they need to provide this report to us. So now we need them to make sure that they provide whatever information to general services. And then for the unmet needs, it looks like Ms. Tapahi has sketched that out on the whiteboard here. And
Someone check that out.
we haven't voted on it, so we still can modify the amendment at this time.
This part with the carryovers or DSAP, we thought that could be zero. Because, well, again, it goes back to the fact that there hasn't been established an unmet need category. And by adopting the whole list for DOTI, we're, I guess, the thinking that at the revisit was we needed to pare it down to something that's more meetable. And so the only one that we carried forward was the 20 million for scholarship, the 707,000 for Office of the Youth. And there was a third item. I'm drawing a blank on that third item. I don't have my notes from at this point in time. I left it in the truck.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Honorable Chair So said the 20 million is a carryover.
No.
It's listed under unmet needs.
But
So
under the carryover budget,
let me find that. Carryover.
there are,
What were you?
BSAP
I'm
that
looking
could
through
be
7
used
pages.
for,
I do not see an entry under carryovers on Exhibit F for
But
20 million.
he's not talking about 20 million. He's talking about a different item.
25,000.
Yeah, I don't think we should treat them as tied into each other because this is the whole, I would just
Okay,
stick with the unmet needs and then. So, Ms. Tapai, what we need to do is on the unmet needs schedule, the 20 million as number 1 will be for scholarship unmet need. And then, Chair, how would you like to reorder the remaining items?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair?
Dr. Moffat, can you wait one moment, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Rusher. I will change Exhibit E, line item 1. I will delete the business unit number, Doty Administration, HVAC and heating, but I will leave the 20 million and I will identify that as for the Office of Navajo Scholarship and Financial Assistance Office.
Yeah, so basically you bump up everything that's included in priority 3, and then you change the dollar amount to 20 million instead of 10.25 million. Okay, Dr. Moffat, you're recognized.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair. I just wanted to just go over this. This is based on my notes, what I understood, and that's the reason why I rephrased what I understood at the end of the meeting so that I would leave just knowing exactly what we had discussed and what we agreed. So I'm referring to the document where we had the priorities number 1 through 7. Number 1 was the administration for 20 million HVAC. We said no, absolutely not through carryover, not through the unmet needs, but that we will be referring this situation, this request to general services. So absolutely, so we understood that. On number 2, priority number 2, which is the library for 742,788. We will refer to carryover for that one. So that one was okay, but for carryover. Priority number 3, which is the scholarship, we said no on the 10 million. We increased it to 20 million, and that one for sure will stay in the unmet needs list. Number 4, priority number 4, which is a Doty Information Technology, 1,264,000. That one was okay for the carryover. Priority number 5, which is the Doty Administration at 10 million. We said no, not through carryover, not unmet needs. That is out the door. Priority number 6, Department of the Youth, 707,788. We say yes, it will stay in unmet needs. And number 7, Department of School Improvement, we said yes on carryover. And so this is a reason why on exhibit number 2, exhibit E, you will only see 2 items, which is the scholarship and the Department of the Youth. Thank you, sir.
Chair, is that consistent with what you'd like to offer?
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like, Dr. Moffat, was that forwarded? Ms. Mitchell said that there was a document forwarded to, I think, to Mariana Khan. And
Yes, and that was the one that is, that was on exhibit E for those 2 items, because those are the only 2, which is the Navajo Scholarship and the Department of the Youth, were the only 2 that should be under the unmet needs per our last meeting. And that was sent to Ms. Khan.
okay, so can you, or whoever the person is who sent it, can they send it to Angelita Benali, Leonard Mose, and Chair and myself.
Absolutely. And here's a copy of it. If you have your computer here, this is the memo that was communicated to Honorable So and Angelita Benali. And in here, which is noted as Exhibit E, you will see the document of the admin needs. And I apologize, I'm not able to switch. I tried so many times to try to twist the document over so you can see it at a landscape level. But you will see that this is the document that, and again, I can send it again. But it was sent to Ms. Khan.
A little 2 minutes. Okay, I'm sorry. Just fell out of my chair here. I was trying to stare at your screen because it was sideways.
It is sideways, and I apologize. I
Ugh.
try to turn it over with this. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I apologize. There you go. Oh, yes.
Perfect. Okay. So we have exactly what we need. The only thing that we're really changing is the unmet needs budget. The carryover remains the same within this amendment. So
Yes.
Ms. Tapahi, I think what we should do is like recess for 5 minutes so that we can accept this email. And then that way you don't have to generate anything new. You'll just take it. You'll know what the dollar amount is. Or are you okay to, let me just recognize you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So I heard, I'm sorry, is that, who am I speaking with? I'm sorry, who's the presenter?
It's Dr. Moffett.
Dr. Moffett, okay, I'm sorry. So, I'm writing on the whiteboard according to what I heard her say. And I'm just verifying. We're talking about unmet needs exhibit E right now. I heard her say item 2, $742,788 for library is taken off of E and moved into F, carryovers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But
So
I guess, did you send in a new carryover schedule or was it just the same carryover schedule? Dr. Moffett?
Julia, it's my understanding that most recent document that we saw was the carryover for each of the offices. Is that correct?
Yes, Vice Chair Slater and Chairman So and honorable members, the carryover Excel sheet remained the same, and the only list that changed was the unmet needs consisting of 2 items, and that was shared with Ms. Khan and also Ms. Benali.
Okay, I'm gonna walk over to Mr. Pai so she can see. I think we're making things a little too complicated. Okay, the only thing that you need to change is this unmet needs. So we'll put this document in. It's gonna be $20,707,788.00. And we're gonna maintain the recommended carryovers for everything. You don't need to move anything into them. It's just.
So when she said delete this,
Yes, in the carryovers, it should be able to handle some of the unmet needs that are presently in this unmet needs budget. And so that's why we don't need to say move it into there. We'll just keep the unmet needs budget as recommended.
the exhibit F as is.
As is.
Is that okay? It has this and this and this.
The committee wants to recommend the unmet needs budget as it was the carryover budget as it was presented to us. The unmet needs budget is amended to reflect what you have here, the 1 and the 2 and this dollar amount. And
Okay,
so
we just use that exhibit E, and that's the only thing that we're changing on this amendment.
precisely, yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Committee members, we're gonna recess for 5 minutes, okay? And everyone who's listening on the line, we're gonna recess for a couple minutes. We'll resume at 12:02 Arizona time, 1:02 Navajo Nation time. Dr. Moffett, can you share your screen again one more time?
Absolutely. Do that one more time.
Vice Chair Slater, if I could get Ms. Chapahi's email address, I could send her what I sent to Ms. Khan and Ms. Benali, which contains both the carryover and unmet need.
Okay. I'm trying to pull it up. Give me a moment. Okay, it's LURALENETAPAHE at Navajo-NSN.gov.
Okay, LURALENETAPAHE.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
She took the
thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Vice Chair, did I hear correctly? You wanted me to send this to all the council members, committee members?
Yeah, please send it to the committee.
I'll do that right now. Hello, is Angelita Benali there? Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, is Angelita Benali there?
Yeah, she's here. She's back.
I sent the attachment to her. I don't have all of the council members' emails. If she can forward the email that I just sent her with the attachment to all the council members, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, the committee is gonna resume consideration of legislation 13622 Amendment 1. Ms. Tapahi and the committee have received the updated Exhibit E. Wait. Yes, updated Exhibit E. And so we don't have to do the whole microphone thing. I'm just gonna read it over here because it's gonna take forever to reset that. So priority 1, business unit number 1. I'll turn my laptop sideways. Business unit number 109008, program title scholarship, amount 20 million, explanation, higher education scholarship is priority number 4 of core issues of the Nahata plan. Navajo leadership, Dene Benahata, history of Dene government and engagement, a textbook of Dene government for high school. Okay, yeah, that's right. A textbook of Dene, is this the right explanation?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the correct one. A textbook of Dene government and high school students to meet and learn about the Navajo Nation government and to meet Chief Manuelito scholarship criteria. Priority 2, business unit number 109014, program title Department of Dene Youth, amount $707,788. Infrastructure for youth centers, total $20,707,788.00. And that is the corrected Exhibit E that is included in the amendment. And then in addition, Delegate Halona has requested the inclusion of Nuschidi in condition on appropriation number one, I believe. It is number one, okay. For business unit number 109001 Doty Administration. And that's an exhibit D. So that is the modification to amendment number one. Committee members, oh, Mr. Pai, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair. I will quickly read the fixed amendments.
Okay,
One more time for the record.
okay, I'm just gonna bring this over to you, so don't,
Oh,
let's
sure.
not move the microphones around.
Thank you. So amendment number one, this is a second reading of amendment number one as revised, reading into the record. Amendment number one to legislation number 0136-22 for the Department of Dene Education. Item one, on page one at line 14 and on page two at line 6, delete dine and insert dene. Item two, on page one at line 2 and on page 2 at line 9, delete dine and insert dene. 3, remove the DIB posted exhibit B and insert the new revised exhibit B that shows legislative concerns 1 and 2 and 1 condition of appropriation with the addition of Untitled Chapter in the condition of appropriation. Item number 4, remove the DIB posted exhibit E and insert the new revised exhibit E provided by the Department of Dene Education dated August 5th, 2022, that shows 2 line items for Doty's unmet needs, comma, totaling $20,707,788. Item 5, on page 2 at line 19, insert a new paragraph F as follows. This is all underlined. F, the HEHSC recommends that certain carryovers for the Doty be included in the Navajo Nation's FY 2023 comprehensive budget as shown in Exhibit F. Item 6, on page 2 at line 21, delete E and insert F. Item 7, insert the new Exhibit F provided by the Department of Dene Education that shows the overall total FY 2023 carryover request of $928,911.91 in the bottom line on page 7 of 7. Item 8, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel are authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and its exhibits to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be conformed to this amendment. And we do have the Exhibit E provided by the Doty, which is dated August 5th, 2022. Back to you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Tapahi. Committee members, is there further discussion? Well, actually, that was the second reading. We already asked for further discussion, so we'll move to a vote. This is amendment number 1. The motioning party is Delegate Lona. The second is Delegate Wanika. So Delegate So, how do you
I
vote?
vote green.
Delegate Begay,
Green.
Delegate Lona,
Green.
Delegate Wanika.
Green.
The vote is 4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, and Delegate Charlene So excused. Committee members, is there further discussion on the legislation? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Chair So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Delegate Begay,
Green.
Delegate Halona,
Green.
Delegate Wanika.
Green.
4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, Delegate Charlene So excused. Legislation 013622 passes. We'll move on to legislation numbers 0146-22, an action relating to the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee approving and recommending to the Budget and Finance Committee the fiscal year 2023 budget for the Navajo Nation Department of Health and Related Matters to be included in the Navajo Nation's fiscal year 2023 comprehensive budget. Ms. Benali, has that been read into the record electronically?
Yes, it has.
Okay. We will now proceed. A moment. Mr. Moski, take that. Okay, now Committee members, Ms. Benali is going to distribute the proposed amendment based off of our work sessions and regular committee meetings. The chair will entertain a motion to consider, or the vice chair will entertain a motion to consider legislation 14622. Motion from Delegate Legay, a second from Delegate Halona. Chair So, you're recognized.
Thank you, committee members. And legislative staff, honorable vice chair. Again, we conducted our budget hearings. We also revisited this particular legislation and budget, and we requested OLC to provide some legislative concerns, and we also addressed the need for carryover and the need for unmet need recommendations. So we're ready to address the question at hand. Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Slater.
Thank you, Chair. So we have the proposed amendment with the COAs and the legislative concerns. And we need for the amendment language to be read into the record. Give us one moment as we maneuver our microphones. Okay, let me mute over here. You're good.
Are you ready, Mr. Vice Chair? Thank you. This will be amendment number 1 to legislation 0146-22 for the Department of Health. I'm sorry, that should be Division of Health. Oh, you're right. You're right. It is Department of Health. I apologize. Department of Health. Item 1 on page 1 at line 14, delete the word nation. Item 2 on page 1 at line 21, before the word department, delete the word nation. Item 3 on page 1 at 29, at line 29, delete the word nation and after the word health, insert in quotes DOH. Item 4 on page 2 at line 1, delete the words Navajo Nation Department of Health and insert DOH. Item 5 on page 2 at line 6, delete the word nation. Item 6, remove the DIB posted exhibit B and insert the new revised exhibit B provided by the Navajo Department of Health that shows the amount of $243,995 in the bottom line in column D and in column E. Item 7, remove the DIB posted exhibit C and insert the new revised exhibit C provided by the Navajo Department of Health that shows the explanation for the new recommended amount of $243,995. Item 8, remove the DIB posted exhibit D and insert the new revised exhibit D that shows one condition of appropriation and legislative concerns 1, 2, and 3. Item 9, remove the DIB posted exhibit E and insert the new revised exhibit E provided by the Navajo Department of Health that shows the amount of $30 million for the unmet needs amount for DALTCS, Daltex. Item 10, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel are authorized to make technical edits to this legislation and its exhibits to implement the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which language shall be conformed to this amendment. You have a new exhibit D. Exhibit B like boy. At the bottom of column D and column E is the same number, $243,995. You have a new exhibit C, which is recommended changes and explanation for the $243,995 for the Senior Citizens Trust Fund. The explanation states adding FY 23 recommended budget fiduciary funds in the amount of $243,995 from memo dated July 11th, 2022 from the Office of the Controller to fund vision, dental, and hearing devices. Exhibit D, there's a new Exhibit D attached. There is one condition of appropriation and 3 legislative concerns listed. I'll just read the condition of appropriation for the Department of Health. The Department of Health shall work with the Department of Justice to develop sources for emergency reimbursable stopgap funding to cover lapses in direct services for grant-funded programs under DOH, including DALTCS. The Department of Health Director shall report to HEHSC by the end of second quarter FY 2023. There is a new Exhibit E for unmet needs. There is one line item for Daltex. $30 million is the amount of unmet needs to support repairs and maintenance for Daltex operated senior centers across the Navajo Nation. And those are the exhibits, and that is the amendment prepared, and I am open for questions. Thank you.
Oh, I think you use that one and then. We're good? Okay. Committee members, the amendment has been read into the record. Is there a motion? A motion from Delegate Wanika and a second from Delegate Halona for amendment number 1 to legislation 14622. Any discussion, committee members? The third wave? Okay. Chair So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Delegate Begay?
Delegate McGee, green.
Delegate Halona?
Green.
Delegate Wanika?
Green.
Okay, 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting, and Delegate Charlene So excused. Committee members, any further discussion on the legislation? Okay, third wave. Chair So, how do you vote on the main motion?
I vote green.
Delegate Begay?
Green.
Delegate Halona?
Green.
Delegate Wanika?
Green.
4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. Delegate Charlene So excused. And Chair, I will hand it off to you now. We've completed our new business items.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair. Waving of the red pen works. Going 3 times. Thank you. Ms. Laureen Poppy, thank you for your work as well as Ms. Bernardo. Thank you. That was quite the exercise. And again, if we missed anything, or a new issue comes from staff and all the staff on the call, if something comes up that you feel like needs modification, please don't hesitate to give the committee members and staff a call. We have a chance when we present to the BNF, we could ask for a change there. And when we go before NABI, we can also make the change there. And that's where that condition of appropriation to general services on the education center, the heating and the HVAC upgrade, as well as electrical upgrade, we could take care of that particular condition of appropriation. Again, the other aspects to the folks on the call, if something does come up do not hesitate. And we addressed this particular budget at BNF, at Navi, and then finally at Navajo Nation Council. By Navajo Nation Code, I think we have to have the comprehensive budget adopted by December 30th, as I recall. So we have still unfinished work, 3 more steps in the process. BNF, NADI, and council committee members and staff on the call. We thank you for your work. And we look forward to continuing this working relationship. The other is the chair will again convene a call on scholarship. How do we, there's many segments. The state of New Mexico adopted free college. The Net College also offers free college. The NTU offers free tuition. Now, how do we all make it work together? And there is other universities that are offering free tuition, just like what Fort Lewis has been doing forever. There are others, so we just need to regroup. And what will be our focus? Years past, it was teacher education. We do know that there's a great need for accountants. Look at all the vacancies within Navajo Nation personnel management system. We do need nurses, healthcare workers. And so those are some things that the committee will have to, and everybody else that's in education, we will have to come together to put a program together that would be an education plan, scholarship plan. We do need our students to be learning from people who look like them. And that's how we're going to advance quickly. And so those aspects, I really think that we have to put something together. And these entities that are within our oversight, they can be of great help in putting that. And I guess in the thought is the divisions within the oversight we can't operate scholarship in a silo. Everybody has to be part of this going forward. Thank you, committee members, for
Excuse me, Chair. So
stop. Thank you. So we reach item number 8, close of meeting.
excuse me, Chair. So
Hello?
hi, this is Christine Chavez from Navajo Department of Health, senior accountant. One other thing that needs to be added is the Exhibit A needs to be replaced with the one OMB recently sent out, I think it was yesterday afternoon, and that added the fiduciary fund for the senior center.
Not necessarily the senior fund, the senior citizen
Citizens.
trust
Yes.
fund.
Yes,
In the amount of, thank you for bringing that to my attention. It came in an email, I think within the last 24 hours.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
We missed it. So we'll take care of it at BNF.
Thank you.
It's 240,000 that would go for eyeglasses, dentures, and hearing aids. Remember, they didn't have OMB or OOC hadn't put it in their memo. So we'll have to take care of it at BNF. Thank you, Ms. Yazzie. Yes, it was emailed. So many things going on. So close of meeting, announcements. Chair's open for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Honorable Slater, second by Honorable Begay. No discussion.
Green.
Honorable Slater votes green, Honorable Begay votes green, Honorable Helena is thinking about it. Honorable Helena votes green, Honorable Juanita votes green. Let the record show a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, the chair not voting, 1 committee member excused. We are adjourned.
12:28 PM, sir.
12:28 PM. That